Hi, my name is Eric Davis. I am a traffic engineer with ODOT District 10. In this video, I will discuss the intersection of US 33 and Johnson Road. I will explain the reasons that we are looking at the intersection and more about the upcoming project. In our presentation, we will take a quick look at the purpose of the project as well as explain the history of the intersection. We will take a look at the crash patterns at the intersection and the changes that have been made over the years. I will explain our analysis of the State Route 682 corridor, and finally I will discuss different countermeasures that were looked at and the recommendations. The purpose of the project is to address the crashes at the Johnson Road intersection. There have been several crashes over the years and some of them have been severe. The proposed project will remove the Johnson Road connection to US 33. A turnaround will be constructed on Johnson Road. The left turn lanes and median pavement will be removed from the US 33 median. Since traffic will be moved from the Johnson Road intersection, an analysis of the State Route 682 interchange and the State Route 682 corridor was completed to measure the impacts. First, we will look at the background. US 33 is a 4-lane divided highway. Johnson Road intersection is what we call an at-grade intersection. There are no ramps or overpasses. Vehicles travel through the intersection at high speeds. The intersection is located between grade-separated interchanges at State Route 682 and at State Route 550. There are several destinations served by the Johnson Road intersection. Back in 1997, all the movements at the intersection were allowed. You can see in the bottom right diagram that the arrows are green for all movements. The top left diagram shows all of the conflict points associated with those movements. A conflict point is where the paths of different movements cross. These points have the potential to conflict, resulting in a crash. Because of a number of crashes related to left turns and through movements from Johnson Road and River Road, signs were installed to prohibit those movements. This change was made in 2000. The bottom right diagram shows the prohibited movements in red. This change reduced the number of conflict points from 42 to 14, greatly reducing the chance for a crash. Because signs and markings can sometimes be ignored, further improvements were made in 2013. Directional bollards were installed to physically reinforce the left turn and crossing prohibitions from Johnson Road and River Road. This improvement didn't change the number of conflict points. Next, we will discuss the crash history of the intersection. This is a collision diagram. It is used to visualize where the crashes are happening to see if there are patterns. The diagram shows the crashes for the 10-year period from 2009 to 2018. Each of the symbols on the map represents a crash. The different symbols represent different types of crashes. Some of the more severe crashes that have happened at the intersection are angle crashes. The other severe crashes are related to turning. A left turning crash happens when someone turning from US 33 turns left in front of someone on US 33. Right turn crashes are the ones that happen when someone turning right from Johnson Road or River Road is struck by someone on US 33. The patterns that the diagram shows us can change over time due to traffic volumes. They also can change based on the restrictions that are in place. This collision diagram is more simple. It only shows 1 year, 2019. There were 4 crashes at the intersection. What is concerning is that the crashes occurred while making legal movements. 3 of the crashes were left-turning crashes onto Johnson Road. The other crash was a rear-end crash in the left turn lane. Even though we have put restrictions in place over the years to reduce the conflict points from 42 to 14, the conflict points that remain can still result in a serious crash. When we restrict movements or reduce conflict points, the traffic has to find a new path to its destination. In order to see if those new paths are reasonable, we conducted an analysis to see how those new paths will perform. The next slides will explain how the analysis was performed and the findings. When looking at the impacts of the Johnson Road closure on State Route 682, we looked at the part of State Route 682 from the interchange south to the Johnson Road Conant Road intersection. We wanted to see how the intersection handled the additional traffic. In addition to the ramp intersections, we also looked at several intersections along the corridor, including the Poston Road signal, the Pine Street intersection, the Elm Street intersection, and the signalized intersection at Johnson Road and Conant Road. I will briefly show aerial photos of the intersections that were analyzed. Here we have the US 33 State Route 682 interchange. The Whispering Pines Drive westbound ramp intersection is currently signalized. We looked at the signalized intersection at Poston Road and Walnut Street. Here is the unsignalized intersection at Pine Street. We analyzed the Elm Street intersection, making the assumption that it would be the main entrance for Athens High School. We also looked at the signalized intersection with Johnson Road and Conant Road. We collected turning movement counts at all the mentioned intersections. We determined what the peak hour of traffic was for the morning and the afternoon. We entered the peak hour traffic counts into a traffic modeling software called Syncro. We use Syncro to evaluate how well intersections are operating. We entered all of the existing lane use and timing into Syncro and used it to find out how the system is currently working. After having the existing conditions modeled, we began looking at the redistributed Johnson Road traffic. Traffic making right turns at the current intersection were distributed along the State Route 682 corridor to the US 33 eastbound ramp. Traffic that was making a left turn onto Johnson Road was taken to the westbound ramp intersection and distributed down the corridor. When distributing the traffic, we had to make some assumptions. For the high school traffic, it was assumed that almost all the traffic would use the Elm Street intersection. We used Syncro to evaluate and compare 4 scenarios. The first scenarios were the existing AM and PM peaks. The next scenarios were for the AM and PM peaks of the redistributed traffic with optimized signal timing. Syncro gives us 2 ways to compare the scenarios to each other. It measures the delay per vehicle, and it also assigns a letter grade, A through F, for the level of service. Just like grades in school, A is the best and F is the worst. We aim to have D's and better for individual movements. We like to see C's and better for the overall intersection. We summarize the data into this table. The first column lists the intersections and the movements at the intersection. The next two columns are the delay and level of service for the existing conditions, AM and PM. Columns 4 and 5 are the redistributed traffic with the optimized signal timing for the AM and PM peaks. The table allows us to see the corridor as a system and compare the existing conditions to the proposed conditions. While there is a slight increase in delay for some movements, the overall system performs acceptably. Only minor tweaks to signal timing are needed to accommodate the redistributed traffic. When evaluating intersection safety, we looked into several options. One option was to close the median and leave the Johnson Road connection. This does address the most recent crash pattern, but it leaves conflict points in place that have a potential for a severe crash. We also considered installing a right turn lane and acceleration lane for Johnson Road. The acceleration lane in particular is not common at intersections like this. There was a concern that drivers would continue to enter the intersection from a stop instead of using the acceleration lane. We ran into another issue with the acceleration lane. A properly sized acceleration lane would need to be over 1,500 feet long. We are restricted by the nearby bridge to less than 1,000 feet. Even with improvements at the intersection, the conflict points would remain. Having the State Route 682 interchange so close helped point us towards the recommended countermeasures. District 10 recommends closing the Johnson Road connection to US 33. The left turn lanes would be removed as well as the remaining median pavement. A turnaround would be constructed at the end of Johnson Road. Traffic that previously used Johnson Road would utilize the State Route 682 interchange and the State Route 682 corridor through the plains. Since River Road doesn't have direct access to State Route 682, the River Road connection would remain in place as a right in, right out. This diagram shows the changes that would be made at the Johnson Road intersection. The hatched areas in the median represent the pavement removal of the left turn lanes and the crossing. The guardrail will be extended across the Johnson Road leg so that it is clear that the connection is closed. A turnaround will be constructed at the end of Johnson Road. River Road is still accessible from westbound US 33. The proposed countermeasures address the most problematic intersection crash types. By removing these conflict points, we are further reducing the potential for a severe crash. You can access additional project information at our project website. We are asking for your feedback, and a comment form is available on the project website. Email comments are being accepted at the provided email address. If you would like to send comments by mail, our address here at the Ohio Department of Transportation District 10 office is 338 Muskingum Drive, Marietta, Ohio 45750. Please direct your comments to the attention of Cheryl Swain. We look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you for your time.